But as I mentioned, it's gonna be a banger, boys and girls. So get your pens and paper ready and get ready for the gold to drop. Just want to double check that we're live here. All right, looks like we are live. Hey, Doris, you made it. What's up, girl? How are you? All right, let's get this party started. Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Robert Blakely, better known as the Blakester. I'm your host for our Monday Masterminds. This is part of a series, if you will, that we've been doing for part of the Lost Transition, something that I've been keen on making happen for the last 5 years. We've gone live every single Monday. What we do is we have a little training component that we teach. We will be dropping some gold nuggets. Today is going to be a serious banger for you. You will want to make sure that you pay attention. She's shaking her head like, no, what do you mean, banger? It's going to be fabulous. Fabulous, darling. Let me put it to you that way. Right? Because today is Monday, and like I mentioned, it is week 23. So today we're going to talk about the 12-minute conversation for network marketers, right? So some of the things, if you're new here and you're watching on YouTube, feel free to oh, subscribe to the channel, drop a like, show some love somehow. Helps get the message out there. Also, as well, I am going to be shameless and ask for your business. Come on over to thelosttransition.com. Take a look at what we're doing and come have some fun with us. Come get trained in the art of sales psychology because that's what I teach. Been a student of the game, so to speak, for over 40 years. And one thing that I love doing is passing off this knowledge. I talk to my online wife Rita here all the time, and I told her, I'm getting older, and I just want to make sure that I leave some kind of legacy. So the things that I've learned over my course of sales and network marketing and direct marketing, I want to pass on to people to make their life a lot easier. And what it comes down to is teaching you the art of communication when it comes to using sales psychology so that you can communicate in such a manner that people, A, number one, come flock to you, and then B, want to do business with you, right? A lot of that happens from your nonverbal communication, but also your communication and what you say, right? So after knocking thousands upon thousands of doors, we teach a different method, if you will, than most people teach. I'd say versus anybody teaches, quite honestly. Just a simple way that you can network and present yourself in such a fashion so that you don't seem pushy, right? So you're not that salesperson on the street trying to grab people's attention when they don't want their attention taken. So that's the show. Every Monday, we come live 12 Eastern Standard Time. But the first thing that we do is we hear from those of you that show up in the audience every Monday. I love to hear your wins, especially if it's related to the lost transition or even still, any wins are good wins. I do that because I like to live vicariously through my friends, and I can't be everywhere all at once. So I love to celebrate you as well. So anybody want to start us off with some wins that they have for this week? And then we'll dive into some slides. Anyone? Anyone? Don't make me call you out. Dorea, Dr. Lisa, Rita.
Yep, I'll go since there's
I
a
think
lag.
everyone's sleeping this morning on a Monday, and it's actually afternoon over there. So wake up, everyone.
I'll give it a few seconds. If nobody says anything, then I'll jump in for sure, for sure. Um, that's like being in the classroom and you ask a question and nobody says anything. You're like, ah,
Waiting for that first person to go first.
I know, right?
Like,
Derea said, Derea's jumping in. Go ahead, Derea. Oh, she said
ah,
she's not
I
ready
need a
yet.
minute. I need a
Okay.
minute.
let
Oh, well,
me
I just want to.
compose my thoughts.
And the universe opens and the sunshine passes through the clouds.
Well, let's
Okay,
get them started, Rita. How about
I am super excied about the platform. So it's all about the platform for now. I am, and when I say that, I mean the platform that you built for the lost transition to help people like me who really didn't have a system. And I created a post that talked about all the different tools. I left off one, the Rolodex, and the systems that were in place, but I never you know, when you lock into something and you think, okay, this is the one, this is the one, and they really weren't the one, none of them, because they didn't work for me. And one thing that I like about this platform is because I can go, I can stay within that platform and never leave, except if I'm posting on Facebook, for example. But I can stay there and post and then share it with the Facebook group, and that's the only time I leave, and then I can just jump back in there. So my challenge is the time, um, committing to the time, or maybe I should say shutting off the cell phone, not paying attention to calls and whatever, and just focus on the time frame that I have dedicated to do my five. But this I learned this platform faster than I've learned other platforms, so I can kind of follow it. There's only one thing I need to work on, because, and that's my emailer, because some go out and some don't. So I'm not sure if it's a progression that I'm doing. It's, did I do this first? Does this have to be done? Because I'm not sure about the system.
Sure.
So, but otherwise, I love it, and it's great when you just come in, check out your calendar, boom. All right, this is what I need to do, and then you stay in that same community like environment platform, and then you just go through and do the things in your calendar, and then you start with the pipeline section, which is so super cool. It really is. I love it.
Good. I'm glad that you like it, and you're just now finding out that there's a new update that just happened, like, I don't know, probably about 5 minutes ago. So if you go and you log in underneath the marketing tools, underneath the social post generator, you'll also find a hook generator. So you put in your information, your niche, and it will actually create a post that actually has hooks in them to attract the audience. So I'm
Nice.
pretty happy with that.
Well,
You
thanks.
might see a few button deficiencies if you're on tablet uh, versus the Mac or
Desktop.
PC.
Hmm.
I was working on that last night. I didn't get to finish that. But by the end of the day, all the buttons will be fine. If you see some that are longer, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Everything still functions. But yeah, check out that new social media hook posting tool. I think it's going to be a great addition, handy tool, so to speak.
Cool
And thanks for
beans.
sharing. Thanks for being here. Anybody else got some ones they want to share? Y'all are gonna make me bore you with mine? No. I did get a
No.
dentist appointment. That's coming Thursday. I'm happy about that. The other thing I'm
Dorea,
happy about.
Dorea
Oh,
timed in. Ladies first.
all right. Well, please do. I didn't want to bore.
No, 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 no. We don't have to cut off the master.
Oh, I didn't want to bore you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this lighting is not good. But anyway, oh,
You
here we
look
go. And there was light.
marvelous.
Okay. Oh, I've been away. There's been so much going on in my world. I don't know where to start. Let's see. One, I have, hopefully you can see this. I got the
Oh,
book done.
congrats.
Yes.
Oh my God, that looks gorgeous.
Yes, and then we got created by Auntie Rhea Page.
I love it.
Oh my
Oh, that
gosh,
is just
it is really
fabulous.
great. So I'm super excited how it came out,
I love
and the
it.
pictures are
I
vibrant.
love it. Yeah, the
They
colors are
binded
great.
it in a nice
It's
way. It's
gorgeous.
and yeah. So yay
How
on
freaking
that.
awesome is that? Go, girl. Oh, I'm so proud
Um,
and happy for you.
Thank you. And it's been really a blessing because this has been a great talking piece
Yeah,
for other parents that have special needs children. And
sure.
I'm looking at now, I met my dental hygienist as she's cleaning my teeth, telling about her daughter. And now I'm looking to put together like a survey of like talking points she would like to express to the world. Thank you. And see if we can create a narrative around her struggles and around some teaching moments that she can convey to her audience and to the people that are in her daughter's life who want to help, but it's not, and they don't know how, and they might do it in a harmful way. So this may turn into something that I didn't know, and before you know it, maybe I have my own Muppet, Rita. Not
Mm,
sure, but it's definitely opened doors for other talking points. So experience.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that.
That is so awesome.
We just had our Women's Day
Right on.
kickoff event, so I'm gonna put it in the chat so you can see a little bit better.
How did that
Um,
go?
huh?
How did it go?
Oh yeah, so it went really well. We had over um close to, I think we had about 25 lady veterans
Right on.
that came, and which it was funny. We had some people that came like from 2 hours away,
Wow.
and yeah, they and she was saying she lives in the city, like the capital,
Sure.
and she's like she's happy if she can get 5 people to show up. And so there was a couple people that came that this is not the official picture, but this is someone what someone else took because I wasn't able to take it, but we were doing the little thing in the picture. Oh, and that's the other pictures of the cake that we got done
Oh,
for it. Um, yeah, it was really cool. Some people came I've never met. One I brought I invited I went to the Women's Veterans Clinic in um here, well, in Tulsa. And I asked the Women's Veteran Clinic, I said, how are you celebrating Women's Veterans Day? And I was like, oh, I think we're doing something. I go to the back and come back. And it's like, oh, we're going to put a banner up and we're going to give out water bottles. And so that kind of ticked me off. So I went to people like patients and I said, hey, ladies, are you a veteran? And I gave out my flyer and I said, hey, the Women's Veterans Clinic is giving you water bottles, but if you want food, fun, and fellowship, come here. And a lady came. She said, "Yeah, you gave me a flyer while I was waiting for my appointment." Another one, we had it on Eventbrite, and she was looking at what was happening in town that day and decided to come. And she was so afraid that was going to be a bunch of old men with, from Vietnam era or something. And she was so surprised. We all
wow.
together, we had about 30 people, all women, 25 veterans. And she was so shocked that one, there was this many veterans, and then to
Sure.
know that we were all ladies, we're all celebrating each other. So this was a very monumentous monumental event
Yeah.
that happened, exceeded everybody's expectations.
Love it.
um yeah, it was wonderful. So I can't say more about it. That happened last night. So,
I bet
oh,
I can
also,
tell you're still on that high from that.
yes, I'm very, very grateful. Also something I learned, we I was given a list of women veterans, which was highly coveted, and I was wondering how to reach out to them. And so, like I was saying, I was struggling because, using the nonprofits systems and different things like that. So, found out they use Monday.com, and I stumbled upon um, attributes. So maybe if there's a way you can adopt it, Blakester, I was able, no one knew, I was able to train an AI agent to add a column of recently contacted, yes or no. Um, it was if they would go in, send an email on my behalf with the attachments and my links and everything, my invitation. Then they were able to put yes as contact and update the notes to say sent Women's Veterans Day kickoff event email and have it time stamped all at one time, and they were able to do, I did over 220 some emails that way. That saved me a whole lot of times. One of their glitches though is you have to train her every single time, so you have to have the computer open and you have to have it running. um and of course, they don't have common sense. So, I had to scold them a couple times, like, no, this is not how you do it. This is how you do it, kind of thing.
So I can answer the direction where you're going, Dorea. I don't want to
Mhm.
dig too deep into it because I'd rather you and I have a little bit more of a conversation on it. But
Yes.
I can say that the CRM that I designed inside the Lost Transition is modeled after Monday.
Oh,
So it has a drag and drop feature, three different columns, primarily based off of what we teach is when you have a conversation with somebody, are you getting them to look at something? Are you getting them to try a product? Or do you need to book some time for a product demonstration or something like that? So the things that you're mentioning are already in there. The things that I would like to talk to you further about is to make sure that we have exactly what it is that you need. The beautiful thing about me being the programmer on this is you guys tell me what you need and I can program it in, right? So
yes.
but it's literally my vision for this and the way that it's set up now is you go in, you put in your business profile, you use AI to write an email, you go and double check that email, make sure that every email that goes out and it says, look, that you want it to say this. Everyone that try, everyone that book. So you only have to do that email one time. Now all you're doing is you're putting a contact in and then sliding them, whether it's look, try, or book, and then automatically that email will get fired out. When it comes to a group, then that's what I would want to talk to you about so that I make sure that those features that you're looking for would be sent out, time dated, stamped, but you can also do it to a group. We have that feature now, but I haven't personally tested it with anybody. But what I did also do is I connected it to where you can connect your Gmail account just like we had on Now site, so you can send up to 500 emails per day. But you can
Wonderful.
also have multiple emails in there. So if you need to send from different emails, you also have that ability as well. But I'd love to
Wonderful.
chat with you more to make sure that what your vision is matches with what we've got here.
Yeah.
Because I think you'd be pretty pleased at what we've built so far.
Yeah, I'll be interested to do it with the Ladies Veterans Unite. I know I can't do it with the other ones, but my other. Also, I got to jump off early because I'm taking my niece to her orientation. She to be a CNA,
Oh,
and so we went and found some scrubs, and I was so overwhelmed, almost tear jerked to see her in her scrubs for the first time, and I shared it in the chat. And
nice.
so, really great stuff. So
Well, I
thank
am
you.
going to recommend, right? I understand you got to leave. I am going to recommend that you watch the replay on this. As I mentioned at the very beginning, this is going to be what I'm going to call a banger. It's very important. Hi, Mikey. And it goes back to the foundation of some of the things that I teach, especially when it comes to the 12-minute conversation and being able to understand that and the semantics behind it. It will help somebody like you, especially as well. Well, it'll help anybody, but it's being able to understand how to get in and out of conversations and how to lead them. So I talked to Rita, and some of you guys might know or have heard me talk a little bit more in depth about this, but definitely watch the replay, okay? Make sure you catch up with it. If you don't know how to get it, just let me know or Rita or somebody know. Okay?
I wanted to tell Dorea her book can be huge if you get in touch with the right people. You want big groups, so in your county, I don't know if I guess Oklahoma has counties or however the parishes are called, but contact the school district and find the person who's in charge of special ed or whatever they're calling it these days, and that will give you a huge audience to work with. And
Definitely.
there's some other things, but I won't share them right now. I'll message you
Cool.
if you haven't thought about those already. Okay.
Perfect. I
Thanks.
love this. See, this is how we roll right here, right? This is how we roll, my friends. Oh, hey, there comes Virgil. Just in time, just in the nick of time. Screeching in on two wheels. So we got about 5 minutes, and I could start now if you guys want to. Any last final wins? Thank you for sharing, Duran. First off, I didn't want to dismiss those. Those are some amazing wins. I'm so happy and so proud of you. It makes my heart so happy to see that and all the growth and everything that you're doing over there, especially for women veterans. It just touches my heart. And you're a blessing. You're a blessing, my friend. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing. Any quick shares? Yes, no? Quick wins? If not, okay. So let me go ahead and we're gonna dive into these slides that I've got prepared for you guys today, okay? As I mentioned, today is going to be very important that everybody pays attention. Oh, and here it is, by the way, Rita. Can you see my screen?
I do. Okay, that's a
So
new one. Okay,
if you
cool
want to create
beans.
like a hook post, you just put in your niche. What do you want to attract, right? All that stuff. Click on generate hooks, select everything, and then boom. It'll give you two options. You select from which one you want, copy the post, and then share it. But this one's specifically designed for hooks. This one is more of just putting out a social media post itself. Make sense?
Gotcha. Yep, good stuff. I'll be in it.
So, a few new additions. Like I said, we're excited. The growth itself, what we're doing. A couple more things to tie up and the ad spacing, the conference room. I'll be working on that. And then that's pretty much it. Then we can start working on tweaking some other things. But let's dive into what you guys really came here for. Okay. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this, I want to make sure that this is a banger of a video. And what do I mean by that? I want to make sure that you guys leave here very confident, knowing, trusting, and believing that what the Blakester is teaching you is true and it works, right? I'm not somebody that's going to sit up here and try to tell you something that I haven't personally done. That's not in my belief. I would never ask you to do anything that I've haven't done, right? Or anything that I wouldn't do myself. So when it comes to network marketing, I can tell you for a fact that if you just simply focus on 5 conversations per hour, it's even better if you're talking to 5 prospects that are actually pre-qualified. I want to be clear, okay? 5 conversations is great, but if you're talking to prospects that are qualified, then it's going to be even better. That being said, if you focus on those 5 conversations per hour, you can look at potentially getting 1 sale per hour or even two or three. It really depends on the people you're talking to and the focus that you have within those conversations. Okay. That's why when you look at the logistics of what I teach on this scale, the 12-minute conversation must be had. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you take a look at what we're saying, we want to have 5 conversations. Well, you break it down into 1 hour. That means you only have 12 minutes for conversation. And I know some of you guys have heard me talk about this before, but you haven't seen me actually break it down for you. Rita, have I ever broken this down for you? Just want to confirm.
I'm not sure what you mean by breaking it down, or I've seen you do it.
Okay.
I've watched you in action, I'll say that, but I don't know how you're describing breaking it down.
Cool, cool. Well, perfect. Then you're gonna love this. Like I said, make sure you guys take some notes, okay? Because again, every time you come here, if you just learn one piece and just put it into your arsenal of tools or your assets, if you will, you'll get better and better at this. And then eventually it'll be really, really simple. And then all you're doing is having conversations and understanding how to get in and out of those conversations and also how to steer those conversations. So that being said, we're going to talk about the 12-minute conversation today, right? And I'm going to give you the complete structure on how to have high converting, not low converting, but high converting conversations. Again, this is more so geared towards talking to qualified prospects. However, you still want to have those conversations, especially when you're first starting out. And if you're in business, I want you to focus on at least 5 conversations per day, right? We don't want to give you too much that you can't, bite off more than you can chew, so to speak. But once you get down to it and you're sitting in front of your your fruit computer or your PC, I knew you'd love that one, Rita. Right. And you're actually focused on business, then I want you to focus on 5 per hour. Right? That means that you need some kind of time mechanism, which is why we got the floating timer inside the lost transition to keep you focused, laser focused, right? So you can have these 12-minute conversations. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and break it down for you a little bit and talk about why 12 minutes, right? So again, I love, love, love teaching the psychology behind things and what makes people buy or what makes them not buy, right? When you look at timing itself, number one, we have to remember people have the attention span of gnats. So you have to grab their attention very quickly. That means you need what's called a pattern interrupt. Like maybe it's a clap, maybe it's hey, like you're doing something to grab their attention and then pulling them in. But if you're having a conversation and it's only 5 minutes, it's going to be too short because you're not going to really build up much of a connection with them. And then if it's too fast, then it's just going to feel like a pitch. And then what happens when somebody feels like they're being pitched? Automatically, the walls go up, right? The Straits of Gibraltar or whatever you want to call it. The giant castle doors come closing, clang, right? And then 30 minutes, well, that's just a little too long, right? Obviously, we're in here for an hour, right? But we're in a teaching environment, so we're not focused on just 12 minutes. But if you go and you're having a conversation and it's 30 minutes, well, potentially you can lose their attention. And I'm only saying this because I've been to plenty of presentations that are 30 minutes or 45 minutes to an hour when many times they don't need to be that long, right? At 30 minutes, you tend to lose people's attention. You can overwhelm them. Also, if it's on the top of the hour, they're thinking, okay, what do I got to do next? Right? So this is why we try to, be cautious and be aware of everybody's time when they come here. We want to start on time. We want to do our best to end on time. And if we know we're going to go over, then we want to make sure we let everybody know, hey, we might be running a little bit late. Stick with us, right? But when it comes to an actual conversation, whether I'm on the line, on the phone, whether I'm online, or whether I'm even in a supermarket, I keep these rules in mind. Quick little example. Went over to Dollar General the other day, 2 days ago, just so that I could get a pack of cigarettes, right? I go in there, I pull in with my pretty red Dodge, as Shauna likes to call it, and there was a gentleman behind us. He's like, "Hey, love the car." Love the car. And it was just that attraction that he liked my car, right? So I was like, oh man, thanks so much, man. I love it. She's a beauty. She drives really nice. And I just started building up some rapport with him. Right. But we're both sitting there in the front entryway of the place. So I don't want to clog things up. We're just like, hey, 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 right? So I cut off the conversation. Hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks. And I cut it off and I move away. Part of why I'm explaining this to you is because you'll hear me many times talk about controlling the environment that I'm in. This is what I'm talking about. And then I pull away to control that environment. And then I want to make sure that I'm not rude because he came to me and I didn't do a give to get to ask for his name. So then I went back and said, oh, my apologies, man. My name is Robert. And you are? And they told me his name was David. So, oh, I can't forget that name. It's my son's name. Right. So immediately, boom, connection. Now, I'm not telling you this because I made a sale with him. I'm telling you because this is what I use in everyday life, right? The 12-minute conversation. And if it's going to be, uh, about business, I don't want to go over that 12 minutes unless I know that I'm actually signing somebody up. And part of that time frame would be me actually walking them through the sign up, right? So I could tell you unequivocally, without a doubt, I've done it before several times. And my mentor, one of my mentors teaches this. You can close somebody in your business within 6 to 45 minutes. Okay. Now, the cool and crazy part about this is you can close somebody in your business and them not even know what the business is or the product. Anybody, I'm right? because I've done it, right? People only know what you tell them. And as long as you match whatever their vision is to your let's say your remedy, if that's what you want to call it, whatever your product is, as long as those two match and they can see their vision using your product or your business as the vehicle to get there, then the odds of them saying yes are a lot higher without you having to try to convince them. Okay. But now, before we get even deeper into this and why I said that we needed some time for these slides and me explaining, is that within that 12 minutes, there's certain things that I want to do to be able to identify whether or not this is going to be a sales conversation or not. Once I know and I can identify that it is going to be a sales conversation, then most of you guys that have been around me know the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change that person's state, right? We're going to make sure we make a joke. Then we're going to redirect to business. But we never, ever, ever, ever want to direct to business without changing a person's state. Got to be very, very clear on your intent and what I'm telling you right now. Okay. So, but 12 minutes is right there at that sweet spot, if you will. So I can tell you that without a doubt, I've gone in, knocked on a person's door, talked to them, asked them to go get a bill, bring it back, filled out a form, even got them on a phone call to verify that yes, I wanted to do this. Yes, this is my name. Yes, this is. I can even get phone numbers. I've gotten social security numbers, right? People think, oh my God, I gotta ask for a social. Yeah, it's not that hard, right? It's really not. Some people are cautious about it, they fear it, but I can tell you it's super simple, right? It's all in how you ask in your delivery and how you're presenting yourself. But I can do all of that within 11 minutes. In fact, some of the quickest ones have been like 10 and 9 minutes. But then part of the last part of those things, whenever you get a sale, I want to just kind of introduce it to you is what I call the kiss off, right? Or leaving them feeling good about what they just did. So if you've never heard this before, write it down. Anytime you have somebody that purchases something from you, you want to make sure that you leave them feeling good, right? Something that I always tell people is I say, hey, thanks, I appreciate your trust, right? I want them to know that I appreciate the fact that they trusted me to begin with. Use it if you like, it works. Okay. So here's the structure and how we break it down so that everybody understands it. Okay. Write it down, take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. But this is how it works. It's real simple. So from 0 to 2 minutes, that's going to be the point of connection. That's going to be where you're going to start building rapport. You're going to find common ground. Maybe you're using the form procedure if you've never heard that, right? What is it? Friends, occupation, recreation, motivation, right? But you're asking questions so that you can find common ground. For myself, when I was going into that store and this gentleman, David, came to talk to me, the common ground was a Dodge. And we started talking about that Dodge. He said, yeah. And I was like, oh, screw a Ford, right? He's like, yeah, no Fords here. Like I'm explaining this to you so you understand that it only takes a few words to get somebody into that state that I just showed you and told you, right? Like I got him riled up just by saying, yeah, F a Ford. Like, yeah, right? So by saying that, all I'm telling you and explaining this so that you connect the dots is all I was doing was connecting with him. Psychologically, I said something in his brain that agreed with what I said. So he's like, hell yeah, damn right. Right? Same thing goes whenever you're doing a post on Facebook or social media, even if it's a hook post. You want the reader to say, he's right, she's right. That's more of that hook to bring them in to build that connection. Okay. So that's from 0 to 2 minutes. Once you have that common ground or that rapport, and realistically, if you can find out three things within the first 2 to 5 minutes that you have common ground with, they're more apt to like you even more, right? Maybe it's the same place that they live. Maybe it's the same car, like maybe it's a Dodge, right? You don't know what's going to get that effect out of that person until you have the conversation. But then from minute 2 to 5, this is where you go into discovery, right? This is where you start asking questions. In the sales world, it's finding their pain, right? So for me, I was just having a conversation with him, finding out about Dodges, that he didn't like Fords, right? Again, we're not having a business conversation, and I know this. That's why I'm controlling my time, and I'm not going to go longer than 12 minutes unless I get really interested in the conversation. Maybe something in there I pick up on that he says that might trigger me to say, "Oh, I can help them. I can help him with that." Or maybe he mentions something about his phone, and or maybe he mentions something about needing some coaching, right? Whatever it is, if I listen, then I might latch on to that and continue on the conversation longer, right? But that discovery portion, especially when we're using the law of attraction to bring people to us, that discovery portion is very, very important. Very, very important. This is where we pour the salt on their wounds, like we've talked about, but it's ultimately is finding out their pain. Like, what kind of things are they going through now? What is their struggle? How long have they been struggling? How much money are they trying to make? What do they want that money for? Right? And all your job is to do is to listen. Listen, listen, listen. Then from minute 5 to 8, that's where the bridge comes in. Okay. Just like a song, we're going to take it to the bridge. Right? But before you take it to the bridge, I'm going to remind you, what do we do? State change. You must make that state change. So you make a joke, you make somebody laugh, erase the brain a little bit so that you can plant the seed, right? Now you're going to use those things that they told you to create that bridge, and all the while you're going to be telling a story throughout that bridge. Whether it's your story or somebody else's story, you're going to be doing a little bit of storytelling. You guys remember me saying you got to get really good at telling stories and asking questions, right? This is going to help you become better at telling stories. Now, once you're able to connect with that user or that member, right? And you're able to start telling that story, now from 8 minutes to 11 minutes, now we're going to do the vision portion. Right, we're going to paint the future. We're going to try to see if we can't have them envision in their brain what it would be like with all those problems that they just told you solved because of them joining business with you and using your business as the vehicle for their salvation, so to speak. Okay? Make sense so far? Everybody with me? Cool. And then the last 11 to 12, that's your close. When I say that's your close, if somebody has followed you through your presentation and this conversation and it's gone back and forth very smoothly and the energy is going back and forth and there's no huge resistance, right? And they're not saying, oh, I got to talk to my wife or anything like that, then you must assume the close at that particular point in time. Now, one thing you can do, and I've mentioned this before, is in the vision part at the very end of you future pacing their transformation, do what I call a check back. And that makes just a simple question like, does that make sense? Or can you envision that? So it's a little question at the end of your body of the presentation. Everybody got me on what I'm saying right now? Yes? Yeah? For sure, for sure. Dr. Lisa? Yeah? Cool. Awesome. Okay. Because the reason I'm saying that, because if you don't throw in that little question, you're not going to know whether they're above that buying line or not. If you ask the question and they say, yes, it makes sense, that means they're above the buying line. Shut your mouth. Go to the close. So when's the best time to get started? Oh, well, we can get started right now. Cool. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the link, get you signed up, walk you through the process. Clear for everybody? Awesome. This is the structure. If you can understand this and start practicing and learning it and looking at a time, man, either be a part of the lost transition, stop playing, get in here, right? Or get yourself a clock and make sure that you watch that clock and time yourself for 12 minutes. Use those first 2 minutes just to connect. Use the next three to discover. Use the next three to bridge that gap. Use the next two to paint the vision, and then the last minute to close the prospect. Okay. Now, let's talk about these phases. And I kind of gave a little bit of away, but you know me, I like to give as much value as possible and make sure that I explain it in such a way that I don't know, man, a seventh grader can get it. Right? So let's talk about the connect phase. Like I mentioned, 0 to 2 minutes. That goal is just to build a little bit of rapport, but there's important things that we need to think about, right? Um, Building rapport. But we have to be human. We can't be a salesperson. This is where, when we talk about on day one, having the right mindset when you come into this industry is extremely important. You can't be out here thinking like a salesperson. I got to get a sale. I got to get a sale. I got to get a sale. That's not going to work with the universe, the law of attraction. It does not work. Instead, we have to go out and find people that can use the products that we have and sell that you know will benefit them. In essence, we're only here to solve problems. Okay? So easy way to get started anytime is, hey, how's it going? How's your day going so far? You can literally start that conversation, any conversation with that every single time. Even when I go to the grocery market, right? And I go to check out, they say, hey, how's it going? Or how are you doing? I say, oh, it's great. How are you doing? How's your day going so far? Even when I'm in the supermarket, my friends. And the conversation doesn't last long, you know. Well, oh, great, thanks. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. Here's your bill. Thank you, bye. Right? Doesn't even last the 5 minutes. But start your conversations off that way and then let them talk. Listen. And I could say, honestly, to give you a few other little pointers, if somebody comes to me and I say, hey, how's it going? How's your day going so far? And their energy isn't where I need it to be, I'm going to do what I can to lift that energy, right? It's similar to changing a person's state. But if they're just all right, I'll be like, just all right? Why? What's really going on? And I'll try to dig even deeper so that I, again, let them talk. And what am I going to do? I'm going to listen. Throughout that listening, I'm going to find something to connect on, right? Whether it's a Dodge, it's trucks, it's baseball, football, whatever it is, right? And then when it comes to, I put this line in here so that everybody understood as well. This is also coming from the mindset of attracting people to you, right? So you put out a hook or a attraction post, people come to you and they're like, hey, let me have some info. I start off the conversation, hey, how's it going? How's your day going so far? They'll say something. I'll change the state. We'll lift the energy. And then I'll say something like, hey, I appreciate you reaching out. What made you open to hearing more about this? It's a beautiful question. What that does is again, right? We want to be really good at telling stories and asking questions. By asking that question, you open the door in their mind, right? And you allow them to let it flow. You want to make sure that they flow. You want to make sure that they talk, right? And then you just listen. Some of the keys, obviously, you want to smile, even if you're on the phone, like be in a smiling context. The guy would act as if you were standing right next to them, especially if you're on the phone, right? If you can and you're on the phone, stand up, move around. Like one of my favorite movies, The Boiler Room. Motion creates emotion, right? So if you're moving around, you're creating that motion, you're going to create emotion. You won't even realize it. And now that I'm saying it, maybe you will, but even your body language will fall into place based off of your movement and what you're saying, right? Another key thing is use their name, right? One of our forbidden words is sir or ma'am. Don't be up there and saying, well, sir, uh, ma'am, let me tell you how this works, sir. No, no, ma'am, that's not how we do it around here, ma'am. Okay, we can't have any of that. You want to call them by their name, right? Why? We've been conditioned to respond to them since birth. And then, as I mentioned, match their energy. But if their energy is low, I want to raise their energy. I don't want to talk to somebody that's apathetic and almost dead on the couch, right? And most of all, don't rush. Don't try to rush through it so that you can try to get to that next 3 to 8 minutes. Okay, very important. Phase two, the discovery part, from minutes 2 to 5. Find what the real pain is. We briefly spoke about this, right? Get below the surface. Remember where we talked about the pain point principle on week 19? Anyone? Anyone remember the pain point principle? No, Robert, I don't remember yesterday. What are you talking about? All right, Rita says she does. Vicky says she does. I don't know. I don't remember yesterday sometimes, but we talked about this back in week 19. Talked about the pain point principle. If you need to, you're in the lost transition. Go to Learn tab, go to Monday Masterminds, go to week 19, go watch it again. All right, here's a couple questions you can ask. What would you change about your current situation if you could? Now, that's kind of a long sentence, but it's a good sentence because it makes them tap in deeper. If I have just a short sentence, they're not going to go as deep. Maybe another question might be, well, what's been holding you back from making that change? Right? Once you find out that they haven't made this change, well, what's holding you back, really? Right? There's another one for you. If this worked for you, what would that mean for your life? Or even what would that mean to you? That's an even better one. This last one, write it down and start using it for the love of God. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about changing this? Or how serious are you about getting that 5K per month in 90 days? Right? Very important, ladies and gentlemen. This is all part of pre-qualification. I don't know if I had mentioned this or not. I know I mentioned it in Inner Circle on Saturday. There was a gentleman that I was talking to over the weekend about this. He was talking about retention. And he was talking about how, well, he kind of got tired because it seemed like he had to keep on building and keep on building because people would come and go and they see the next shiny object and off to the next one, right? I told him, well, part of that is because I can tell you right now, you're not pre-qualifying people. That's it. That's the only answer. And many people don't get it. They don't understand it. Why? Well, because they weren't taught it. But if you go and you ask somebody after you find it, their vision, you tap into it, and you ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you? And they don't answer a 10. They don't qualify. Guess what I do? Man, Tony, I'd love to work with you, but unfortunately, you just don't qualify. What? What do you mean I don't qualify? Think about the psychological ramifications of that sentence. They're going to automatically draw back and be like, well, why don't I? And the simple answer is if you're not a 10, you'll quit in 2 weeks. This business takes the serious minded person. I need to know that, you're able to show up and be close to the fire. Right? It's going to take some time to teach you some of these things so that you are out there fishing on your own, so to speak. So use it. Don't be afraid to turn business down. Otherwise, like I mentioned, you're just going to deal with, oh, yeah, well, great. You got a bunch of people on board, but how long did they stay? How long did they stick around? And how many of them actually duplicated what you were trying to duplicate? Right? So make sure that you use that, please. And, please is one of my forbidden words too. I should just tell you. Just use it. Right? But listen for frustration. What is their desire? What's the timeline? That's very important to make sure that they're not getting crazy and saying, I want to make 10 grand a month within 14 days, right? That's pretty unrealistic. Unless they go to a casino and they have a little bit of money to spend. Maybe, right? Odds are they'll lose it all though. But the more they talk, the more they sell themselves. That's the key thing to remember. So that's why another reason why you want them to speak. You want to control the conversation, but you also want it to be both sides, right? So that you have that energy flow, as I mentioned earlier. All right, 11:54. Let me get to moving. Phase three, the bridge. From minutes 5 to 8, this is where you connect their pain to your solution, right? So you got to use the story. I briefly talked about that. Remember week 22, we talked about stories over stats? Yeah, cool. Well, this is where it comes into play. Ha ha. Right. So here's a bridge script you can try. Right. I hear you. You know what? I felt the exact same way. Or let me tell you about someone just like you. As I mentioned, you're either going to tell your story or somebody else's story. But that story you want to correlate to somebody that reminds them of you. I'm hoping, trusting, and praying that because you're in business, you're already immersified yourself in your business so much and you've been in those groups so much that you know who the leaders are in your industry and you know exactly what it takes to, make $100 per month, $1,000 per month. I trust that you know some people that you can actually reflect or model off of for another person and say, you know what? You remind me of this friend of mine named Rita that she just climbed through the ranks really fast because she just needed somebody to connect the dots. You know, everybody get it? Point is, try to make the connection through that bridge. Tell that 60-second story. Remember, we talked about it on week 22. What's the setup? What's the struggle? What's the solution? And then what was the success? That's the actual setup for that 60-second story that we talked about in week 22. Okay. And something else you might want to say too. They mentioned something and it's very emotional. Then you can come back and reply with, that's exactly why I wanted to share this with you, Dr. Lisa, because of what you said. That's exactly why I wanted to share this with you. Notice how my tonality changes. I get lower in the tonality, right? And then ultimately, right, Vicky, because what worked for me or them can work for you too. Again, change the tonality. Tonality goes up towards the end, right? Um, I don't know who this is. Hopefully, they will call back or leave me a voicemail. Austin, Texas. All right. Phase four, the vision. Minutes 8 through 11, paint their future. This is where it's very important how I talk to you about when you're having a conversation to make sure that they can visually see or paint that picture inside of their head, right? That's the goal. So, in order for you to do that, you have to say words, communication, my friends, right? And just like I told you about the F Fords, right? And you saw how I explained to you how he got really like riled up, like, yeah, love Dodge, right? The same way goes and is applied with this. So if I say, now imagine this, and I pause for a moment, right? They're going to stop and they're going to start to imagine. They're getting them into what's called an imaginative state. Now you're filling in the words, using your words, because words are magic, right? And you're tapping in, you're planting the seed, right? But it's 90 days from now. You wake up and all that $5,000 per month you wanted is there. You check your phone and you see that you got 10 sales last night without even trying. How does that make you feel? Oh man, that would make me feel freaking fabulous. I'd be dancing on cloud 22. Well, that's not a dream. That's what's possible when you follow the system. But it starts with one decision, my friends. It starts with you taking action. But you're using their words to help paint that picture and do what you can to make it vivid. Like I said, you want them to physically see it in their brain. They should see themselves in the future that you're describing for them. Then phase five, which is the close, might be obviously a couple minutes going over here because we're at 11:59. But stick with me, okay? Because this is all important. Minutes 11 to 12. This is where the close is, right? So we want to assume the close, especially if they've listened to us for this amount of time. We've gone back and forth with the banner. Throughout that conversation, we've probably had those three emotional dips that comes as we're having a conversation. Most likely it came when you talked about the product, the name of the company, and also the price if you mentioned that, right? But if they're there to that point and you say you fill them out and it's all vivid and you say, does that make sense? And they say yes, they're above that buying line. Okay. That's the time to just take them to the checkout and don't start talking anymore because that's one of the biggest things that screws up a sale. People don't recognize where that buying line is. People will be above it, and then blah 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 blah, and then they start going on and thinking that you need to sell them more, even though they're already above the buying line. And next thing you know, you pull them below the buying line because of all the nonsense that you spewed out of your mouth because you were nervous trying to get them into your business. Okay. So here's a quick closed script you can use. So here's what we do next, right? We assume the sale. I'm going to send you the link right now. You'll fill out the quick form, and I'll personally walk through getting you started. This is where we're going to go past that 12 minutes if we need to. Only if we need to. If we can get them off the phone within that 12 minutes, get them to checkout, and follow up with them, even better. Why? Because then I can go to my second conversation within that 1 hour because I already closed one. Now I've got the energy of closing that one person, like, yes, woohoo! Got them in my business. And then now I'm going into the second conversation. Now, guess what I could do? Yeah, man, I just got off the phone with Rita, Dr. Lisa. Yeah, she just joined the business. It's great, right? That energy will help you go into that next conversation, right? And on that being said, when you go and you get a sale or you get a prospect that signed up to your business, don't you freaking stop. Don't stop. Don't be, oh, I got a sale. Okay, well, let's go to lunch. Let's take a potty break. No, 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 no. Whenever you get one, go right back in there for another one because, again, you're going to carry that energy into the next one. You don't have to mention that you just got a sale, so to speak, right? You just have to carry that energy in. And if you're coming off of that high and your dopamine's all wired because you just got a sale, then that energy is going to flow into that next conversation, right? That's what I'm saying. Don't just stop once you get to close. You always want to get to the next one, get to the next one. Hell, you can have three or four in a row, not even realize it. And oh my God, the hour's up and I closed three deals. You're going to look back and be like, holy shit, Robert was right. Damn, this is awesome. All right. But you will never find that out if you don't follow what I'm showing. You'll never find out, right? You never will. Anyway, if they hesitate, what's the one thing that would make this a clear yes? So if you're going towards that close and they're like, well, I don't know. Now you know that they're below that buying line. Something happened in between there. Maybe you talked a little bit too much. Now you have to pull back and you have to try to get them above that buying line again. So a simple question like that, should be able to help. So what's the one thing that would make this a clear yes for you? And then shut your mouth and listen. Okay. The flow. Here it is. Connect, build trust, discover, find the pain, bridge, tell the story, vision, paint the future, close, tell them what the next steps are. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we're 3 minutes over. We explained all of this in the slides before this, but each phase is going to build on the last one, right? The connection earns the right to ask questions. Discovery reveals what the story is going to tell. Your story opens them up to seeing what the future is, and their vision creates whatever that urgency is to act now, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. If you skip one of those phases, everything's going to crumble apart. The bridge will never be built. And everything just comes crashing down, and you get told no. Ta da! Yay! But if that happens, that's good because then you know how to blow us out. Here's the conversation killers. I'm going to speed through these real quick. What not to do. Don't rush the connection. We already mentioned that. Those 2 minutes are very important for you to try to establish a really good connection with people. Talking more than listening, right? If the person starts talking, you need to go and I don't know if you've heard this or not, how new you are, but pen to mouth. Pen to mouth, finger to mouth, something. Shut your mouth when they're speaking. Listen, right? Pitching features, tell stories. Okay. We're not going to pitch features. In fact, many times I'd rather you just not even talk about the business or the product. Yes, you can do that. Not talk about the business, not talk about the product, and still have somebody join your business. Generic future pacing, like use their words, not something that you made up after you just listened to them tell you what the keys to the kingdom were. And then asking permission to close. Oh my God, if you do that, that's just very sheepish. Well, is it okay? Like, is it okay that you join my business? Like, you want to join, right? Just assume the yes and guide forward. right? As long as your emotional state is there and they see you as the leader and they're listening to everything that you set forward, then try to guide them across the finish line. And if they give you any static, back up and say, well, what would you need to hear or see for this to be a yes? Let them answer, respond accordingly, sign them up, right? Going over 12 minutes, that's a conversation killer, right? So make sure you respect their time, create a sense of urgency. So want to say thank you, appreciate you all coming here every single Monday. You are my light, my love. Like you are the reason I wake up and breathe in the morning. Besides my wife, of course. So I'd love to hear your takeaways. What's your go-to connection opener? Maybe what's your second 60-second bridge story? Write your assumptive close. What did you pull away from today? Anything good? I told you I was gonna make it a banger. Was it a banger?
Yeah,
Love.
yeah. Dorea she put a comment in
Okay.
the chat, and
Uh,
she said, and she's gone, but she says, "Love this. I do this naturally, but never considered the mechanics or the psychology of it."
oh, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely
Apply
good.
duct tape. I'm not sure what the hell's for.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Nobody's saying anything so far, but I think it's good stuff, and definitely applicable. And I understand when you were talking about, I got one. It's like you're looking for the fish, and you finally get a fish after being out there for 17 hours, and you got one. It's time to go.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
Or if you have, look, if your goal is one a day and you get one, you're done for the day. You've accomplished that goal. So I look at it that way too. So if you're trying to, for example, um, trying to, I want to sell 50 memberships a month. Well, how many do I have to sell per day in order to do that? So if it's two a day, whatever the number is, if that's your goal and you got that, you know what? Day's done. Bye. See you tomorrow.
yeah. You could do that, or you could get that one and then go into the next one. And oh
Hmm.
my God, well, guess what? I got two today. Then tomorrow, maybe try for two. And then, oh, I got two. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, I'll try to get three. Right.
Yep.
And the point is, right, is that, and I'm glad you said this, and I'm not going to go too long into detail, but when you understand what your closing abilities are, right, and your skill set is, and you can go, as an example, from 50% to 100%, and you know that everybody that you talk to, you can close, then it's just a matter of having those conversations, right? So if you have five per day, well, maybe you won't close all five, but you might close three if you're really good and you have your skill set up there. You know how to present, you know how to, all these things that we're teaching, right? What would that do for your business, right? Imagine that. It would make all the difference in the world if people knew how to do that. Let me
Dr.
ask you, since we're talking, do you have a go-to connection opener?
Do I have a go-to connection opener?
Mhm. Yeah, like when you meet somebody and say,
It depends on, I might like their shoes, or it could be, hey, I was speaking to somebody. That's happened. Somebody referred me to whatever. But my go-to opener is a compliment.
oh,
I
yeah,
was looking at your
yeah,
Facebook page. I've gotten a sale that way, from your teachings, from looking at somebody's Facebook banner, and they had nothing about them. So
right.
we had that conversation. She got 3 clients, and she jumped on board with NowSight. But I look for things that can help people. And
Listen,
Dr. Lisa has her mic open, so I'm thinking she's got something to say, so I'm going to be quiet now.
and what you just explained actually was what we just taught in primal action, right? Believe it or not, like that's exactly what happened. So you identified it and then you went to the vision and then to the close,
And
right?
that's comfortable for me. If I'm helping you, it's an easy conversation.
Yep.
It's not something that I have to think of, oh, the grandfather's picture is over the fireplace, and then that reminds me of the relatives, and relatives go on vacation. So now I'm thinking about an airplane. Oh, where do you travel to? Oh, I see a tennis racket. Here's some sports. Let's talk about sports. What else? The other one is the let me help you because of what I see is an easier conversation and no thought process available.
Right. Then
Needed.
it's a conversation, it's not a sound, right? You're
Correct.
just transferring the emotion, which ends up leading to a sound.
Yeah,
Awesome
good
stuff.
stuff.
Thank you for that feedback. Anybody else? Virgil or Dr. Lisa, I think she was ready to say something.
The connection part is so important, and it gets even easier when you understand what to look for on social media, right? Because how do I make a connection? How do you make a connection with me after I made a post you like and you comment on it? I'm actually giving you the connection ground, the landing ground. That's why I always recommend understand how to use your social media. The same rule that we are applying to us apply to the prospect, right?
Yeah,
They will be giving information out. They will be posting about their humor, about things that are interesting to them.
yeah,
What better way of making a connection but talking about what you just posted or what you are just interested in?
that's it.
And that works across every social media, even on LinkedIn or on Facebook, Instagram. What the prospect will be, what the person that you are looking at engaging will be posting is a connection pivot for you, or acknowledging what you are good at in the case of B2B or peer-to-peer conversation. If I come in making a compliment about what I know is a pillar of your personality, I like your presentation or your the context in which you approach your management skills or your management process, and then roll into that management conversation. I like how you present your brand on social media. I love your marketing, and we go into that conversation. So that
Compliment, criticize, let them feel good.
yeah.
Hey,
So
how
you
about you? Do you have a 60-second bridge story at all, Virgil?
Well, it really depends. Like I said, I'll look at what the person recently posted and I'll start with that. So I really lead with that. Usually, in the last conversation that I had, and I started promoting those for the efficient hotel thing there, I go directly in the conversation. Hey, I see that from your profile, I really like,
All right,
and
there you
we
go.
shoot the connection. That is in
Yes,
the messaging of
yes,
but when
it's
we're
all of
discussing, sorry?
my apologies. It's all about the old people underwear, like always, right? Just depends. Dr.
It,
Lisa, did you have some feedback or takeaways you wanted to chat or let us know about?
Yeah, there were two things that
Cool.
really stood out to
Sweet.
me. I
Not
mean,
one, but two. Let's go.
well, it's three. The whole thing is masterful.
Nice.
Um, I really appreciate it.
Good, good.
The first thing is the form. I've heard of form in the past and I've used it, but what I heard in the past was friends, occupation, recreation, money.
Oh, okay. Money.
So this was the first time hearing friends, occupation, recreation, motivation.
Yeah.
And you know, I I've seen very skilled people get to the money question very quickly,
Uh,
but I know for me, I would be much more comfortable. Not that I have to stay in my comfort zone, but it'd be a much more natural conversation for me to get to their motivation.
May I?
Yeah.
So I want to give you something that may help you out, so that it doesn't feel as awkward. Number one, like I don't have to talk about the money unless they bring it up. But if I'm going to pre-qualify with somebody, the easiest way to ask that question that's non-threatening, like write this down if you need to, is just say, well, what are you accustomed to making now?
Mhm.
That's going to help you understand whether they even have the money to join your business. Go ahead, you were saying? That should help.
Yeah, that's great. And I have heard, and I have asked people, just in the nutrition space, how much do you spend on your nutrition, on your supplements
Yeah.
now, or different questions just around that. But I like your question as far as the business opportunity.
Sure.
So that's
Yeah,
great.
I think it's pretty neat when you can go and get somebody in your business. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat and funny.
And the
And
other thing
how about
was,
you? Do you have any assumptive closing? Or did you finish? My apologies. I think you
no,
said.
I didn't. The second thing was when you said once you get the win, don't stop.
Yes.
Like
Huge, huge,
take
huge.
that energy and keep going.
Oh my God, yes. That you just made me get goosies. I can't tell you how much. Yeah. Like even in that case, ladies and gentlemen, like that's been the deciding factor for me to hit like 3, 4, or 5 in an hour. I mentioned this on our inner circle meeting on Saturday. I talked to one guy the other day. He came to me and said, "Hey, I want to join this, and oh, by the way, I want to join that too." So I got 2 sales in one conversation because he joined 2 of my things. Like, imagine that. Isn't that cool? How about you go out there and then instead of getting 1 sale, you get 2, just because you knew how to present yourself. And oh, by the way, like so. There's a lot of different things you could do out there, but if you can simply focus on 12-minute conversations, it'll also gear you into being able to get in and out of conversations. As I mentioned to Rita the other day and to everybody in the inner circle, I said, now I don't necessarily need that stopwatch because now it's internal. So I know at about the 5 to 8 mark, I don't know how to explain it other than I just start feeling a little anxious. It's like, okay, we're talking too much, or we're there here, or we're there, and then because of that, I just end up steering the conversation how I want to, or I'm going to pre-position it to call back later because I'm too busy. So cool, good stuff. Awesome. Well, I appreciate y'all being here as always. This week's challenge, I want you to have just one 12-minute conversation. Right? Pull out your stopwatch, whatever, jump in the lost transition, turn on the floating timer. Time yourself though, okay? I want you to time yourself and follow that structure because I'm explaining this to you. But again, you're not gonna really get it until you do it and you get it. And once you get it, again, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? And it will help you again be very focused. Like when I'm in the zone, I focus like a laser beam. That's how I focus because I think about that time. When you think about the most precious commodity that we have, it's your time, my friends. It's your time. So make sure you use your time wisely. Make sure you join us for How To Tuesday. We'll figure out How To Wednesday. But next week, we're going to talk about that 5 conversations per hour, why it's so important, and then how to maximize the prospecting time that you do put into it. I want you to go out there, kick ass, take names today, and we will see you next time. Toot toot. Love you. Bye bye.